Hello everyone. Can you guys listen to me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool. Let's get started. We were going through this functionality testing, if you remember, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So the basic idea is that we have understood. Let's like reiterate one more time so that you get the understanding for those who haven't attended the last session. It will be beneficial for them also. So let's reiterate what exactly we understood. So we understood that first of all, functionality testing is the very first type of testing under black box testing. Okay, so we are going through the very first type, and we'll go through all of these types in the future sessions. Okay. So what does functionality testing says? So functionality testing is saying that testing each and every component thoroughly against the requirement specification is called functionality testing. Now we have broken down this whole definition in small parts so that we can understand what exactly we have to do in this particular type of testing, right? So yesterday we understood that, not yesterday, on Saturday we have understood that what exactly the component means and what exactly thorough testing means, right? So what is a component? Anyone wants to give it a chance? What is a component? If you have attended Saturday's session, what is
Uh,
component, guys?
Radio buttons and
Test box, test field, and all
Drop
things.
down button.
Excellent. But if I ask you the definition, what exactly the definition is for the component? I know you understood what is component, but if you want to explain it to the interviewer, how would you explain it?
Component is a feature through which the user interacts.
Exactly. Excellent. Cool, cool. So basically, what is exactly a component? There will be a UI, right? Whenever you are using any kind of application, let's take an example. Let's say Amazon, our favorite. So if you talk about this Amazon application, right? The screen you are seeing right now in front of you, the Amazon landing screen or home screen, whatever you call it, right? This this is considered as a UI, user interface. You already like might have known this particular term, but yeah, a particular screen through which user interacts with the application, that particular whole screen, not individual component. Basically the UI will be built up with the combination of these components depending upon the logic, how to place it. But yeah, definitely the UI is the screen through which you are interacting with the software, correct? So basic idea is that the component, when you create when the developer creates a UI, he will see the design, he will place individual component in the on the web page or on the application screen in order to create a whole UI for you, whole user interface for you, right? And basic idea is that whenever you see a UI, it will be a combination of a lot more components, like you can see it here, right? This is a hamburger icon. When you tap on it, you will get different links. This is a navigation bar. You can call it as navigation bar. This is a cross button. This is a search bar. This is a landing screen, right? This is a language drop down. This is basically your hello sign account and list drop down, something like that, right? So you will, this is a toolbar wherein you will see a lot more things, right? So basically there will be a different, sorry,
गिरे जा रहा ऊपर उठा
can everyone go on mute? I think someone is talking. Yeah. So basic idea is that if you want to see like how your UI is looking, you have to see, if you want to validate how your UI should look like, I would rephrase it. If you want to see how your UI should look like, or you want to test this UI, whether it is working fine, if it is built fine or not, you need to do what? You need to go to the design and compare your application with that design. Now, under your UI, you will be having different component. That component testing is called functionality testing, basically. But you just don't have to test it on a higher level, you have to test it in depth with all the possible scenarios which can be possible for you to derive a test with that particular component, right? For an example, if there is a this name text field, and it is saying, the requirement is saying it should accept 6 to 32 character username text field should accept a 6 to 32 characters. So what you need to do, you need to derive scenarios, and you need to check whether that particular component, that particular text field is giving correct output on that particular input or not, right? On that particular scenario, the behavior of the component is correct or not. For an example, it is saying 6 to 32, right? So if you are putting anywhere in between 6 to 32, it will do what? It will try to accept that particular data. But if you are putting less than 6 or more than 32, it will reject that data, right? And in order to test more, you need to derive more scenarios, keep it blank or something like that, provide some alphanumeric data to check it thoroughly. That's what thoroughly means. Try to test it with all the possible angles. So have anyone done the assignment which I've given?
Yes, sir.
Can you post it on group?
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll try to do what? We'll try to see one or two assignments and try to identify what is the major mistakes there, and we'll try to analyze what is the level you are deriving the scenarios, and if there is some sort of mistake, what is the generic mistake you guys are doing. Okay. So everyone can open that, right? The text file which Ashish has shared. Let's take a look at it. First one is username text field. I want everyone to look that particular assignment. Okay. First one is add user link. So it is saying that click on add user link. Add user page should appear. So you will do what? Simply click on the add user link and check whether the link is clickable or not. This is the first scenario. Secondary, check if the add user button is in the right place or not. Exactly. Okay. Add user button is in the right place or not. Okay. So add user button in the sense, you're talking about the submit button, or you're talking about the add user link. This is a link actually. So I think that's a
Yes, sir.
mistake.
User link.
Yeah. So correct. So you will verify the placement of the add user link. It should be link. Okay. Cool. Then click on add user button, means nothing but the link, and check whether it is redirecting to the correct page, to the create user page or not. Means basically your add user page or not. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's a generic, these are the very generic mistake. Like when you try to write the scenarios, no, you use your own terms in order to describe the component. But yeah, you should be conscious about it. Whatever is mentioned in the requirement and design, you should use that, because we are might be the one who's familiar to the scenarios and is familiar to the design and application, right? The person who will review your scenarios might not be aware about these many things, right? So that time it will create some sort of problem. Okay. Even in the real time, right, what happens, right, when you derive scenarios, you will document it properly and you will get it reviewed. This is the only way you can make sure that your scenarios are enough. What happens, right? For an example, I am a tester who has 5 years of experience, and you are a tester who has 2 years of experience. If we both try to derive scenario on the login functionality, for sure I'll be able to derive more scenarios and you'll be able to derive some less scenario, correct? It will depend upon few things, right? Experience, creativity, and thought process, basically. So my scenarios will be depending upon the person in this way, correct? Some person will able to derive more scenarios, some person will be able to derive less scenarios. Some person will be able to derive quality scenarios, some person might not be able to derive quality scenarios. So this is a problem, right? You can't rely on these particular process in order to do the testing, because testing will vary. Testing will not be consistent, right? Will vary from person to person. So what is the basic solution? What we do when we derive scenarios, we get it reviewed by other person, other tester. So basic idea is that, so that if he or she founds any mistake in your scenarios, basically he'll point it out to you, and you can basically, if you have missed, you can add it. If you have written some wrong scenarios, you can just do what? You can just remove that scenario. And if you feels that it is not enough, you should derive more scenario, he point it out to you. You can basically modify or add more scenario. Okay. Are we clear, guys?
Yes, no?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool. So be conscious about the terms and the component name. Component name is also one of the like easily or one of the frequently make mistakes, right? If it's something is a button or something is a drop down, you might mention it as a text field or something like that, right? So be conscious about that also. Then the fourth scenario is check whether all the details like okay so here till here no you have tested the UI, if you can see it here, right? You have tested the functionality on the first test case whether it is clickable or not, and secondary it is redirecting properly or not. This is your functionality testing. Then you have done UI testing. Now what is UI testing? UI testing, that's what we were discussing in the initial of this particular class. So we were discussing that UI is there and you have to validate UI according to the design, whether it is act as per the design or not, the order, the placement and all. So this all things comes under UI testing. Okay, so but yeah, it's good to have under functional test case you will not write it, but it's good to know that you can do UI testing also parallelly, because when the components are ready, your page is ready, right? You can do that time UI testing. Okay. Check whether yeah, this one is done. First one is done. Let's take the second one. Second one is saying that username text field should accept 6 to 32 characters. Check by entering in between 6 to 32 character. Check by entering less than 6. Less than 6 means how many you can take a number right here, like for an example 5. But there is a catch. We'll get to know this catch, right, when you are testing this range kind of requirement, right? There is a range. 6 is the lower range and 32 is the higher range, correct? So whenever you are testing this range kind of requirement component, you need to derive your scenarios in such a way that you are testing the boundary value. This whole concept is known as boundary value analysis. But yeah, we'll get to know that in test case design technique, which will be there in your future classes. But yeah, for now, whenever you are writing right less than 6, just try to give a number. Try with 5-digit character, five characters or 3 characters or 2 characters. That will be better. Okay. That's one more mistake. And then check if it is showing error or not. Okay, with all this data, right? Less than 6 and more than 32. And then entering less than 6 or more than 32, that's the same, right? This is a repeated scenario. If you can see it here, the first one is the positive flow. You are checked in between 6 to 32, and then expected will be basically it will accept the data. And then you have checked less than 6, then more than 6, then you are checking either less than or more than 6, and you are checking whether the error is coming or not. So you can validate this scenario, the last one, in second and third scenario itself. So this particular fourth one is not needed, if you can understand what I'm trying to say. Yes, no, anything?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Yeah. Then comes password. Password is basically accepting 5 to 8 characters, and special characters are not allowed. Now, if you can see the requirement, here it is written that characters, and here it is written as characters and special characters. Now, this particular requirement is being designed like this to raise a concern in your question in your mind, because if you in general talk like this, password is of 6 characters or 6 digits, uh, six characters, that means basically you are trying to express that characters covers everything, right? In generic way, it covers alphanumeric, special character, number also. Character is a generic word which will cover alphabets, numbers, and special character too. So if it is written character here, and if it is written character and special character, it means this character doesn't recommend as it is not recommending you a group of alphabets and special characters and numbers. So you as a software tester, if you find a discrepancy or a confusion in the requirement, what you need to do, you need to raise a concern on that, right? It will happen in your day to day working life also. There will be some requirement which you might not be sure about. So likewise in this example, it is saying character is the first requirement. Second requirement it is saying that character and special character, means this character doesn't cover special characters, right? So basic idea is that if this is the level of confusion you have in your requirement, you should first raise that concern to the respected people, either the business analyst or your test lead or development lead, and then start writing the scenarios. So it is willingly we have put this confusion here, but it's for the learning, right? You should raise this particular concern first before writing the scenario. Got the understanding what I'm trying to say? Sorry, like I'm today a little bit under the weather, but yeah. But yeah, you guys understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yes.
So in general, if you see and go out, and if you search over the internet, right, does the character mean? It will cover all the things, like number, alphabets, and special character too. But here, if you see in the requirement, it is saying that character, and here in the second requirement, it is explicitly mentioning special characters, right? That means this character covers a different set of values. So you need to first find out what does this character mean, because the person who is creating the requirement might have the understanding, you might not have the understanding what should be covered. So if you derive the scenario and later on you'll get to know that it is not that character which you have thought of, that time you will basically have to do rework. So it's very necessary. If you find any confusion, you should raise it as soon as possible. So these two requirement will leave it. Why? Because here the character means alphabets only, and here the character and special character means alphabets plus basically your nothing but your special characters. Okay, so you will check these and derive the scenarios in this way. Okay, so if it's a rework for you for now, like you can re-implement this too in your scenario. Okay, then come designation. It's a mandatory. Check if the drop down button is clickable or not. Yeah, correct. Because sometimes what happens, right, if it is a dead, not not implemented properly, the code is not implemented properly, it will be dead. So that time you need to check it, and then check whether the drop down list is showing or not. Now try to understand one more thing, right? If you are in the second point, if you are anyways checking whether the list is displaying or not, the first scenario is not at all needed, because in order to check the list, you need to click and you need to make sure that it is clickable, right? So the first scenario is actually not needed here. That's what we understand, right? If you can cover a few scenarios within uh 2-3 scenarios. I haven't taught you this in the Saturday's class, but yeah, what happens, right? You try to make your steps or make your scenario as minimum as possible, so it will be called as optimized testing. So what is an optimized testing? Testing with exact number of scenarios which is needed. If you What happens if you implement more and more scenarios which will not make that sense, because these two is the ideal example of scenarios which is somewhere overworked, right? So if you're one time clicking and checking whether the whether the button is clickable or not, and second scenario you are anyways clicking and checking whether the list is there or not, the first scenario is not at all needed. So time invested in order to test the first scenario will be basically waste, right? So you need to do what? You need to optimize your scenarios in such a way that it will be of very minimal steps or actions, right? If you are able to do it, your test case will be more quality test case, and it will under review you will get very less comments. Okay, the person who is reviewing your test case will not point out a lot of comments for you when you are deriving the scenarios. Basically your scenario in your scenarios, if he'll not find a lot of mistakes, and he'll not say that you have to correct this one or correct that one. Okay. Then comes the third one. Check if it is showing on the selected option from the drop down list or not. Correct. So basically, if it is a drop down and mandatory to have, right, you can check with one more scenario. If you are leaving it blank, is it giving an error? Because it's explicitly mentioned in requirement. It is mandatory. Mandatory means user should select one particular data, or else user should not be able to submit the form, right? So you can check with one more thing. Basically, when you don't select anything, is it giving an error or not? Okay. Then coming up, email id. Email id, user should check whether valid email id is the software should check whether valid email id is entered or not. How will you check it? Basically by checking, by entering valid email id format. Basically, if you are entering mobile number or like email id, and if your application is not supporting the back end verification, for an example, if you're entering your mobile number, you are not getting an otp to verify your mobile number is correct or not. So basically, if this is not the functionality, you are not doing an authentication, you need to check. As part of testing, you need to check the format of it is correct or not, right? For an example, if it is a mobile number, so if you are selecting if you are trying to enter the 10 digit number only, then only it is accepting that value. You can't verify anything apart from that if it is not authenticating, right? Similar goes to the email id. If you are not authenticating, you are not giving an otp or security code to the email address, you can only check the format, whether the at the date is there or not, .com is there or not, .in is there or not, and basically a particular domain name is there or not. Correct. So Yahoo, Gmail kind of stuff, right? So basically you can test these things, and email id has a particular format, right? Even every id has a particular format. So basically your web pages have a particular format. It starts with www dot, and then it will have a domain name, and then it will have a .com, .in, something like that. So mail id also have that kind of format. So whenever you are validating, where you're trying to test these particular type of component or this particular kind of requirement, so basic idea is that you will go with format verification, whether it is correct or not, and then only you'll be able to pass it. Okay. So here the scenarios are like basically check by entering mail ID without at the date, without .com or dot. So this is a correct scenario. See if the it's accepting or not and showing an error. It should show an error basically, right? Check by entering an email ID with the space between the username and domain. Correct. First of all, check for valid and then check for two invalids. Try to test in this way. Put the at the date at the beginning also, and try to put the .com before the at the date, because sometimes what happens, right? They will just search in the string, because they will treat your whole whatever you have entered in the text field, right? Text field, right? They will try to search in there whether at the date is there or not and .com is there or not, but they will not verify the particular order of it. So you can find one more bug there if the order is not getting verified. Got it? Yes? No? Anything? Cool. Then comes mobile number mobile number. So check whether the 10 digit check with 10 digit mobile number. Check by entering mobile number more or less than 10 digit. Yeah, you can again you can give a particular number here, like 9 digit or 11 digit or 8 digit or 15 digit, something like that. Check by entering 5 number and 5 alphabets, basically alphanumeric or symbol. Check whether the entire mobile number is showing correctly in the box. Okay, so yeah, these many scenarios you can anyways check. I think the last one is invalid, because anyways if you enter anything, right, there is very less chance it will auto populate it as a wrong digit or something like that, because it is internally being handled by your computer, and you'll not see this defect very frequently, I guess. So I think this one is incorrect, last one. Then radio button, gender radio button. Check whether selecting the option and appears for the radio button is automatically changing on when clicking in the when button is clicked. Yeah, correct. If you here when there is a dependency, right? Something called as radio button. Radio button option has a dependency on the other option. If you try to check female, the male will automatically deselect. If you try to select male, the female will automatically deselect. Right. So if you find these kind of dependency kind of component, like in date of birth also you will have a dependency. If you're trying to select 31st, you can't select February here. Getting my point? So until you have select leap year here, you can't select 29 in the February section, right? You should not be able to select the future date. So basically, there are many scenarios, and whenever you have a dependency, you need to be conscious about selecting and deriving scenario in such a way that it is also covering the dependency scenarios. Okay, like in here. So basically, you try to select one, either the male or female. First scenario, you try to select male, you will not select female. Then you try to select female, you will not select male. Two scenarios. What will be two more scenarios here? Can anyone tell me? One scenario is basically trying to select male, and another scenario is trying to select female. What could be the two more scenario? Because whenever we have this radio button, no, it will work as a permutation combination. If it is at if it is a two radio button, you will have four scenarios. If it is six radio button, you will have 2 to the power 6 basically scenarios. So basically it will work like that. So either here you have two radio buttons, it will have definitely four scenarios. What could be the two more scenarios here? Can anyone tell?
Sir, if you
It will
select
contain
all two options one by one, then
Correct.
it should not select both.
Yeah, you try to select both and you try not to select both. Okay. As it is not mandatory to have, if you don't select anything, it should not give an error. It is not written in the requirement. Okay. This will be the two more scenarios. Then coming up to the your date of birth. Under date of birth, you are checking with what? By entering date of birth in the format. You can't vary the format here, I guess, right? It's a if it is a DD MM YY. Okay, it's a text field, no? You can vary. Okay. So you try to select with a different format: DD MM YY, MM DD YY, YY MM DD. Yeah, you can check with this. Check if it is accepting a integer value or alphanumeric value or character. Yeah, this will be the scenarios along with the dependency scenarios. That's what we were discussing, right? If this particular three text field has a dependency, you need to check for the dependency scenario also. Basically, if you're selecting here a 31st, you should not be able to select here right here February or something like that. It should not accept that value. Similarly, for the leap year, you should not be able you should be able to select 29th or something like that, right? So you have to check with that. If it is the date of birth, definitely the future date should not be accepted, right? So that will be there. Past more than 150 years or 100 years, you should not be able to select. So these are the scenarios you have to check with. Okay, so I think we are pretty much clear, isn't it? And for the submit and cancel button, it will be like very simple whether on submitting the user is being created or not, or if you are getting a successfully created message or not. You can check with that. And secondary cancel button should refresh the page or land back, navigate the user back to the earlier page. That you can check. Are we clear on this? How to derive scenarios, guys? I think that today's class is kind of a boring because we have discussed a lot on the words and not shown anything on screen, right? But yeah, but you guys have got the understanding right now how to derive scenarios. If it is it is for functionality testing on a higher level, you know how to derive scenario. By the way, it's a like good assignment. I think you have derived a lot of scenario. For the initial days, I haven't expected this much, but yeah, it's a good assignment. Ashish. Cool.
Hello,
So
sir.
yeah, those who yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm busy now for leaving this class. Please recording in this class.
Yeah, it is already going on. Recording is going on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No issues, no issues. Cool. So yeah, apart from this, no, we have one more concept called under testing, over testing, and optimized testing. I want you guys to write that because we don't have it on PPT. Yeah, if we have it on another PPT, I'll share with you. But let us understand what is under testing, over testing, and optimized testing. So what is under testing? Testing with minimum set of values or scenarios. That is under testing. Whenever you are deriving scenarios, you are not covering whatever should be covered. And then comes over testing. Testing with repeated scenarios. Now, basically, what is this? What is basically testing with the repeated scenario? For an example, you have tested with a character, set of character, nothing but alphabets. Let's say you have already tested your text field with ABC and something like that. Now you are again testing the same thing with XYZ or something like that. Then, if you are testing the same functionality but with a different value, that is being considered as a over testing, because you are nothing but doing a time based kind of stuff, because you have already verified that part of functionality and you are again investing some sort of time in order to verify the same functionality with a different set of data, because definitely if it is working for one, it will work for another one, right? That kind of data. So it's, if you want to take an example, a better example of it, I can tell you. For an example, have you ever came across Gmail? We all know, right, what is Gmail and how it works.
Yes, sir.
Sorry guys. So basic idea is that we do have a attachment feature in the Compose, correct? So the requirement is that, I'm telling you the requirement, okay? There is no size specified for that, but there is format specified. It is saying that you can attach a PDF, you can attach a Word file, and you can attach a Excel file. Now, what you are deriving when you are deriving scenarios, you are deriving scenarios in this way. You are testing with a PDF file with 100 MBs, and you are again want to test a PDF file which is 250 MBs. Now, basically, your code or your like program is being written in this way, right? Check if if the document is in this particular format, then accept it, or else then reject it. Now, if you have already tested your same functionality with your PDF with 100 MBs, does that even it makes sense to check with PDF with 150 MB if there is no size specified from the specified in the requirement from the customer end? Is it make sense or it doesn't make sense? Guys, question to you.
Sir, please repeat the question one more time.
Yeah. So sure. So basic idea is that, for an example, if you're attaching a file, right? If you're attaching a file, the requirement is saying that, I'll write the requirement. That will be better. Attachment should accept PDF, Word, Excel. Okay, this is your requirement. No size limit. Okay, now when we are deriving scenarios, first scenario we have derived first scenario we have derived check with 100 MB PDF. Then second scenario we derive check with 150 MB PDF. Then third scenario is check with Word. Fourth scenario is that check with Excel. And fifth scenario is basically check with other format. Let's say HTML or Java file, something like that. So this is for the negative test. Now you tell me, if we have already tested the PDF thing with this data with first scenario, does that even it makes sense to check with second scenario?
No,
No.
sir.
Obviously it
sir.
doesn't, right? Because we don't have a size limit. If you have already tested whether the PDF we are able to attach the PDF in the first scenario, it doesn't make sense to attach a one more PDF of 150 MB and test, right? Because we are testing the same functionality, isn't it? But what we have done while deriving the scenarios, we have done what? We have tested the same scenario with a different, we have tested the same functionality with a different set of values, isn't it? Now the set of values is different. Earlier the value is basically 100 MB PDF. Now it is 150 MB PDF. But the both things are testing the same functionality. This particular thing is known as over testing. Whenever you are trying to test with repeated scenarios or repeated set of values, basically, which is testing the same functionality of the application. So this will create a lot of wastage of time when the person is executing and testing the application, which we don't want. And if you derive the scenarios like this, definitely you will get under review, you'll get a comment saying that this is a repeated scenario. Okay, so you should avoid under testing. And what is this basically? Minimal set of values. For an example, if we are removing this fifth scenario from here and second scenario obviously from here, and we are just testing with PDF, Word and Excel, is it, what do you think, is it enough for that particular attachment feature, so that you can test the attachment feature? Is these three scenarios is enough, or do we need to derive more scenarios?
You need to derive more
Enough,
scenarios.
sir.
More scenario, right? No, it's not enough. Basically you are just testing the valid flow, you are testing with valid data, you are not doing any kind of negative testing here, right? You are not testing whether you are leaving the attachment blank, is it working or not. You are not testing that with another format, let's say rar file or nothing but your HTML file or Java file or any kind of another attachment, it is rejecting that value or not, because not every time the user will attach these three, right? There might be chances the user is attaching a different format file, and that time user should get an appropriate error message so that it will correct its action. The user will correct its action accordingly. So basically you need to do some sort of negative testing also here. So that's why testing like this also, deriving scenario like this also, it's not acceptable. It is called under testing. What is optimized testing? Testing Okay, this is optimized testing. Testing with exact number of scenario or exact set of values which is needed. But sir, how would I get to know that this is enough? This is the question, right? If I'm deriving 10 scenarios and another person is deriving 15 scenarios, how would I get to know that this particular number of scenarios is enough? to test with, isn't it? This is the question. Yes, no, anything, guys?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So the basic idea is that I'll tell you, whenever you are deriving scenarios, you will not derive in this way in future. You will derive with the help of test case design techniques. So there is a whole fledged technique for you made. If you try to follow that technique, you will be at least able to derive the minimal number of scenarios, which is bare minimum to have, bare minimum to be there in your test case, be there in your scenario list. Okay, so basically, first try to do that. Follow the test case design technique in deriving scenarios. Secondary, basically you will get it reviewed, right? So if they feel like you are missing out of something, they will tell you. Secondary, and then if you are done with all those things, it will always depend upon your experience. It will always depend upon your creativity whether you are covering it properly or not. But yeah, these two things you can rely on for the reviewer, and secondary the test case design technique, which I'm going to tell you in future class. Okay, so basically always we need to do what, we need to try to attain the optimized testing, not under testing and not over testing. I think we have got the understanding of scenarios, like what will be the repeated one, what will be the less tested software or less tested component looks like, and we should not do that, right? We should always go with optimized kind of testing, wherein we try to cover all the things. Also, we try to minimize the number of scenarios if possible. Got it? We have gone through the assignment also, and we have tried to understand basically how exactly we need to derive the scenario. Okay,
Yes, sir.
cool. So like today we're gonna have it till here. Tomorrow we're gonna start with a new type of testing, integration testing. But like there will be a small test kind of stuff for you guys, a question and answer round. I'll be asking few questions regarding the classes, like not exactly how the class is going on kind of stuff, but yeah, whatever I have taught, uh, I'll ask few questions regarding that, and you guys have to prepare a bit so that I also get the understanding, right, which level you guys are understanding, and I'll try to modify the way of teaching according to that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Or else any suggestion before we wrap it up for today in the class, right? Like you are feeling whatever from your end, you can give the feedback to me so that I can implement anything. Anyone? No one?
So what about the notes?
Notes I'm sending, right? I have sent a PDF in the group already. This PDF from which
Okay.
yeah, PPT. I've sent it already. But yeah, today I'll be sending functionality testing PPT also.
Okay.
Yeah. So you haven't got that?
Yes, sir.
I think I'll just ping it one more time. I've replied on that. Just try to check. And then there is the PPT which has all the slides, whatever we have covered till date. Okay.
Sir, your classes will be only on online.
Yeah, for now it's on online.
So there is
Sir,
no
and
offline
other
classes.
subjects?
There is like, if you want to go and attend the classes in person, that is also possible. You have to join another batch for that. I'll not be taking for sure. I'll not be taking. I'm currently in Raipur, Chhattisgarh, so I'll not be able to take offline classes in Bangalore. But yeah, if you want to, you can go. You can talk to Shishu. That he'll be a better person to guide on that classes part. But yeah, if you want to attend my offline class, it is currently not possible. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So offline batches are now running nowadays. Means-
I'm not sure about it, but there should be some offline classes, offline batches running.
So about other subjects?
Yeah, so
Like this one is online, so others are also online and offline?
yeah, that there's a mix of online and offline batches we have. So if you want to do offline for sure, right? You are pretty much clear on this. I want to do offline, you can contact them. They will tell you. Like mostly it's a mix. Like some classes will be online, some classes will be offline. But if you see that currently they are regulating the amount of like offline classes more, so you can join. That's also possible. Okay. So you guys are from Bangalore? Those who wants offline classes?
Yes, sir. I'm from
No.
Bangalore.
No, you can even like if you want to check if it is there in your city, you can also check. Okay. And currently I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm a bit cold, so today I think I'm.
Excuse me, sir,
Yeah.
can I interrupt?
Yes, sure.
Sir, is it possible for you to share the previous recordings as I was not available? I was not
I
there.
think every day they used to share the recording in the group. Are you there in
I
that
was
group?
I wasn't in the group actually.
Okay, I'll tell. Currently, you are in group. Manual
Yeah.
testing FP20.
Yes. Yes.
FS20.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
ping tag Sid. I think Sidhu. And ask him for the group as you are not in the group. Right? Ask him for the recording as you are not in the group, right? So he'll reshare the
Okay.
recordings. He'll reshare.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So is this your first class?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay. So you might not be getting all of the stuff which I'm saying right now. Just try to go through the recording within 1 or 2 days itself. That will be beneficial. Okay.
okay. Okay.
It's a
Okay.
1 hour of recording each class, and we have gone through like somewhere around 2 to 3 class only. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions, guys, or any other feedback for me to implement in the class? There's a lot, like I've got some feedbacks like this right earlier. Your voice is really low while teaching. Not for today. I'll not say like for today. I'm a little bit cold for today. But yeah, in general, if you feel like my voice is low or my speed is a little bit fast or slow, you can pitch in.
No.
It's okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Cool. Okay, guys. Then see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll be better tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
No, sure.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.